Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2021 Lexus LC500. Now, production of this car started in March 2017. It replaces the SC, which was quite frankly an awful car. Didn't like that car whatsoever. And yeah, the LC in this vehicle's name stands for Luxury Coupe, which basically sums up what this car's about. It's not about, massive amounts of performance, even though it does have a lot of power. Fair decent amount of acceleration and top speed. It's far more about, being luxurious, being comfortable, covering long distances in relative ease. But yeah, and to help with that, it's got a 10-speed automatic gearbox, double joint multi-link suspension, and it uses plenty of aluminium and carbon fibre in its construction. While it has a deployable rear spoiler at a certain rate of speed to help with the rear end downforce. So yeah, but despite all of that aluminium and carbon fibre being used, it still weighs a hell of a lot at 4,266 pounds. And again, that's because this is more of a luxury vehicle than anything else. And yeah, as you can see, it looks absolutely gorgeous in here. Really nice hand-stitched leather, plenty of screens, plenty of buttons. All looks very, very nice, and yeah, no expense spared, quite frankly. And yeah, it's even got a decent amount of rear boot space on the go, which is pretty good for a car of this type. Usually that's where you lose a lot of practicality in a car like this, but not to be the case for this car. And yeah, it shares its engine with the Lexus RCF, which we've seen before. So it's a 5-litre V8 engine producing 471 horsepower and 398 pounds-feet of torque. Now that's slightly more than what the RCF had. It's 4 extra horsepower and about 10 extra pounds-feet of torque, but it is roughly about a little bit less than the RCF Track Edition. So yeah, but same engine all across 3 vehicles there. You can get a hybrid version of this with a V6 engine, but that's substantially less powerful. And yeah, the hybrid system seems a little bit on the rudimentary side, because it can't take you very far on electric power alone, only about 4 miles. And yeah, you don't get any extra power over this vehicle either. So yeah, and at the end of the day, this car needs a fair decent amount of power to get that massive amount of weight on the go. But still, it doesn't feel as heavy as it is, quite frankly, and it certainly doesn't look like a heavy car either. And yeah, that's also exemplified in how it handles, as it handles really rather nicely. So yeah, let's see how nicely. Let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So yeah, with that amount of power, but also that amount of weight, it's not the quickest of vehicles in terms of pure acceleration, but it does get up to 60 in a reasonable rate of time. And yeah, that 10-speed automatic gearbox does fly through the gears quite quickly as well. So let's see what it can do on this drag strip before we hit the speed camera, and then we'll get it around the track. So yeah, nice revving engine as well, more than 7,000 RPM, again like we saw in the RCF. Seems to be audibly a little bit quieter though, probably because it is more of a luxury car than a pure sports car. But as you can see, it's no slouch in terms of acceleration. 130 mile an hour past the speed camera is fairly good for a sub 500 horsepower car that weighs well over 4,000 pounds. So yeah, it just shows that in terms of actual power delivery, this is pretty good. Yeah, it's not got the most power of any car like this, but it's the way it uses that power which really is the important thing. So yeah, let's get to the track and see how we do there. Now, I have found while driving this myself that it is a car that does like to slide out when you want it to. It's not, trying to stop you or anything like that. It does feel like a car that is quite playful and quite fun, even though obviously it is more of a luxury vehicle than an out-and-out sports car, but definitely has the potential to be a sports car if you were using it in the right kind of way. Yeah, let's look at the stats before we hit the track. So yeah, we're a low-end A-class, and yeah, speed is pretty good, as well as the handling and the launch, but the braking isn't the best, especially for a car that weighs as much as this does. It's going to have a lot of momentum behind it with that amount of weight, and yeah, the acceleration isn't the best either. But it's, yeah, the raw numbers do say a little bit different over the stats, and the general feel of the car also. Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like a slow car. So yeah, in terms of feeling, it definitely is a quick car, but raw numbers might not well satisfy a lot of people, which a lot of people at the end of the day do depend on the numbers. But regardless, let's get out onto this track, see what it can do, but first we'll let you listen to the engine for a little bit first. Yeah, it's definitely not the loudest V8 going, certainly not the most sporty sounding V8 either, but it does sound good as far as I'm concerned, especially when you're getting up to the higher revs, and it does sound a little bit more audible on the inside. But yeah, it does, being a luxury car, it's going to be a car that has a lot of soundproofing, a lot of trying to remove yourself away from the general noise that goes on outside, and in that case also the engine. So yeah, that's no surprise that this being a luxury coupe over a general sports coupe is a little bit down on the engine noise, but it's still a nice sounding engine, like I said, at the top end, and yeah, gets the car going in terms of acceleration in a reasonable rate as well. 0 to 60 is dealt with in 4.586 seconds, and 0 to 100 is dealt with in 10.4 seconds, and it will go to a top speed of 191 miles an hour, which again is fairly impressive, which yeah, substantially quicker than the RCF. Mostly probably because this is a lot more of a aerodynamic kind of car. It's a lot lower, it's a lot sleeker, and yeah, on the looks front, I do adore the way that this looks. Obviously kind of similar to the likes of the LFA, but more so, quite frankly. And yeah, you couple that with its rear wheel drive, front engine layout, the naturally aspirated V8, which has no hybrid or anything like that on top of it. Does feel a little bit old school in a lot of ways, but you have the modern technology of the 10-speed gearbox, and yeah, you're able to get it sliding out when you want, but it's also got plenty of grip there when you need it to, and yeah, it's just a very relaxing, smooth sports car, quite frankly. No, it's not the quickest, no, it's not the most exciting, neither is it the most show-off kind of sports car going either, but if you're after a car that's reasonably quick, and yeah, looks great, sounds pretty good at the top end, and yeah, is able to cover long distances in no time at all with minimal effort from the driver, then yeah, this is the kind of car that's right up my alley, quite frankly. You can kind of compare it to the Maserati Gran Turismo, you know, another V8 powered rear wheel drive car that weighed quite a bit, didn't have a huge amount of power, but looked great, sounded really good, and yeah, was just a really rather nice laid back kind of cruiser, and this is in that same kind of vein, and yeah, I really like it for that. You know, there's plenty of cars that are loud and proud and really quick and, you know, hilarious to drive and massively quick and in a straight line and whatever else like that, but not many cars take a step back and, you know, let the driver enjoy it, what it has to offer, but also isn't constantly shouting at you in the process. So yeah, great car overall. Really been looking forward to driving this, and it hasn't really disappointed. So you can get this in the festival players for 20 points. Well worth getting, as yeah, it's a glorious car, and it is a brand new car to the Forza series. So yeah, but nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.